Greetings, invaders. My name is Scott. This is Book Invasion. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about Crossroads by Laurel Hightower.
How far would you go to bring back someone you love? When Chris's son dies in a tragic car crash, her world is devastated. The walls of grief close in on Chris's life until one day, a small cut on her finger changes everything. A drop of blood falls from Chris's hand onto her son's roadside memorial and, later that night, Chris thinks she sees his ghost outside her window. Only, is it really her son's ghost, or is it something else, something evil? Soon Chris is playing a dangerous game with forces beyond her control in a bid to see her son, Trey, alive once again.
This is a horror book that just recently was released on audio. I grabbed that thing up pretty quick. There's such a good buzz about this book on the horror community. I had to check it out. It's difficult for me to get through physical books, so I was really excited to get this on audio. The narration was really well done. So this book is a horror novel, kind of about a bit of a haunting, but also about having lost a loved one and the things you would do to get that person back, the sacrifices you would kind of make. It's all about, sacrifices and the love of a mother grieving for their lost child and the lengths they would go to help that child get out of the pain that they experience. So the story follows our main character, Chris, and who's in grieving for the loss of her son, Trey, in a car accident. And Chris is divorced, kind of living on her own now, and going through that grieving period over her son. She visits his, not gravesite, but the accident sites where he had crashed his car, rather than going to the graveyard. She goes to the side of the road and kind of sits by his grave there and tries to speak to him and communicate with him at the little cross in the ground that she's placed there for him. So after visiting his grave one time, she has a cut on her finger, and it starts off with a little drop of blood trickling into, by his grave. And then the next day, she sees him outside of her house under a street lamp, materialized as a real being, casting a shadow and so on. And so the story kind of escalates from there about what sacrifices you would go through to regain, feeling the love of having lost a loved one, and how you would get that love back, the lengths you would go to take the pain away from someone you love who's suffering even after they've died, and to what extent a mother would sacrifice to get that back and to save her child from being in pain or suffering and removing that burden from them. So the story follows kind of as you can imagine, an escalating process of the lengths that this mother would go to feel or reconnect with her lost son and being able to feel something like that again. So this was a really great kind of horror novella. It's fairly short, but this is my first experience with Laurel Hightower's books, and I've heard a lot of buzz about it. So if you really want some good, awesome, kind of emotionally tugging, horror, haunting kind of story that gets a little bit twisted and you're kind of worried about how far this thing could go, it's kind of teetering on the edge about what the next step she's going to take to go further and further for this. So Crossroads is really well done. It talks a lot about loss and the grieving process, and then the supernatural summoning of the spirits back to reality. So all in all, the audiobook was fantastic. The narration was great. I would give this one also 5 stars and highly recommend that you check out Crossroads by Laurel Hightower. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.